Good morning, students, to the English grammar session. Before starting this session, I want to inform you that the session which I have planned is according to your grammar book. I know many of you don't have a book, so whenever you get the book, it will be very easy for you to understand. So let's start with the session. I'm going to start the second chapter of English grammar, that is subject and predicate. In the first chapter, you have learnt about the sentence, different type of sentences according to the function, and the sentences according to the structure. In this session, we are going to learn about what are subject and predicate, the kinds of subject, subject in different structure of the sentence, and identifying subjects in different kind of sentences. Every complete sentence has two parts, a subject and a predicate. The subject is the who or what the sentence is about, and the predicate tells us what the subject does. We can also say subject is the main focus of the sentence. It is usually a noun, pronoun, or a noun phrase, whereas predicate is the remaining part of the sentence giving information about the subject. Kinds of subject. Subject can be of three kinds. Simple subject, it can be a single word which can be a noun or a pronoun. For example, Rita is reading. Here Rita is a subject. Second one is complete subject. It can be a phrase containing a noun, a pronoun, plus any modifier. For example, the black cat jumped from the tree. Now, what is a modifier? Modifier is a word which is optional element. For example, if we say the cat jumped from the tree, it doesn't affect the sentence. But when we use a modifier black, the black cat, then it whole becomes a subject. Third is compound subject. Two or more subjects joined by a conjunction. That is, Rita and I watched a movie. Rita and I. There are two subjects in this sentence, Rita, I, which is joined by a conjunction and. That makes a compound subject. Next, we are going to learn role of subjects in different sentence structures. What do we mean by this heading? Is a subject have different role to play in a sentence. It can act as a doer of the sentence. It can be talked about in the sentence, or we can say it can be described. A subject can be described in a sentence, or third, we can say it can be acted upon, or it can show a reflection, we can say. So, the first one is subject as a doer, or when the subject performs an action. For example, Ram sang a song, the farmer sowed the seeds. In these two sentences, Ram and the farmer, they are doing something or they are doing some action. So here the role of the subject is a doer. Now look at the second one. The subject is described. Rohit is fidget. The queen is beautiful. In these two sentences, the subject Rohit and the queen, they are being described. We are telling more about them. So we can say that the subject is also described in a sentence, so it is a descriptive subject. The third is the subject is acted upon. Reshma was hit by her friend. The thief was shot by the police. So who was hit by the friend? Reshma, we get the answer. Who was shot by the police? The thief. So the action is acted upon the subject. The subject is Reshma and the thief. I hope you can understand all the three actions or all the three roles the subject play in the sentence. As as an actor, as a descriptive role, and as an acted upon subject. Now let's talk about the role of subjects in different type of sentence. How in different type of sentences, as we have learned in the previous chapter, the sentences are declarative, interrogative, imperative, and exclamatory. So what role the subject have? They cannot perform the same in each sentence. So let's learn what is the role of subject in each type of sentence. Now first is declarative. In declarative sentences, the subject usually appears before the verb. The example is Sita is cleaning her room. Now here Sita is a noun and is cleaning is a verb. So when it comes before a verb, this noun becomes a subject. Second, cat drank the milk. Drank is the verb and cat is the subject. Next is interrogative sentences. In interrogative sentences with one verb, the subject usually appears after the verb. For example, where is the ball? Is the verb, and when the ball is coming after the verb is, so the ball is the subject. Who is your father? Again, in this interrogative sentence also, is acting as a verb. Your father is coming after that. That is why your father is a subject. A sentence can also have two verbs. We have also learned about types of verbs in the previous class. It can be auxiliary or helping verb or a main verb. Now when there are two verbs, a main verb also and an auxiliary verb or a helping verb also, then what happens? The subject comes in between the two verbs. Do you know the answer? Do is an auxiliary verb or a helping verb. Know is a main verb, and when you comes in between do and know, you becomes a subject. Now third is imperative sentences. Role of subjects in imperative sentences. In imperative sentences, the subject you is assumed, or we can say we need not show the subject. For example, come here. So who will come here? You come here. So you is assumed in this sentence. Please make some coffee. Who is going to make a coffee? You. So you is hidden, but still it is a subject. We can also say in all the imperative sentences, whether it is an advice, whether it is a command or a request, it's not necessary that the subject should be present. In these sentences, these type of sentences, we assume the subject is you. Next is in exclamatory sentences, the subject generally comes before the verb. Look at the example given below. How beautiful the garden is. So verb is and the garden is acting as a subject. How lovely the roses are. Are is the verb and the roses which appear before the verb is known as a subject. Let's recap what we have learnt about the subject. First is, what is the subject? The subject tells us who or what the sentence is about. Then we have learnt about three kinds of subject, which is a single word, which act as a single word. Now second, it can be a phrase or containing a noun or a modifier. And third, we have also learned about the compound subjects. Then we have also learned here what is the role of subject in different type of sentences. Like it can perform action, it can be a doer, or it can be described, or it can be acted upon. And last, what we have learned is in different type of sentences, what is the role of subject, how the subject is acting, how the subject is acting in declarative sentences, imperative sentences, interrogative sentences, and exclamatory sentences. I hope that you would have understood all this. And now I have a exercise for you in which you have to identify the subject in the sentences. The sentences are very simple sentences I have given you, in which you have to identify the subject and also state the kind of sentences, because we have done the kinds of sentences in this chapter also, we have talked about, in the previous chapter also we have talked about. So I want that you should write which type of sentence it is also when you are identifying the subject.